In June 2026, a page called CPT Ghost Hunters surfaced online, posting unsettling paranormal claims from locations around Cape Town, South Africa. Their debut investigation unfolded inside a friend's residence in Bayview. Two investigators arrived well after dark, armed with nothing but flashlights, anticipating a fairly uneventful walkthrough. What they encountered instead was something far more disturbing, a string of deliberate, intelligent disturbances that seemed to follow their every move through the house. Framed in a doorway, a towering shadow figure briefly emerges from behind the wall before vanishing. Seconds later, a loud crash rings out from a nearby bedroom, but when they check, the room is completely undisturbed. As the pair make their way back toward the kitchen, a small ball glides across the floor on its own. A wide shadow sweeps along the wall, and then the unmistakable sound of rushing water fills the darkness. Stepping into the kitchen, they discover the faucet running at full force, despite neither investigator having gone anywhere near it, and the terror inside that Bayview home was only just getting started. Even after the tap gets shut off, unnerving thuds and faint whispers begin drifting out of the darkened corners. As the camera sweeps past an open bedroom doorway, a dark, hunched shape can be seen crouching silently in the shadows, apparently watching them. The investigators flag several patches of darkness throughout the home, though skeptics point out that off-screen helpers could easily have nudged the ball and switched on the tap, while moving flashlight beams would naturally cast shifting silhouettes across the walls. On top of that, despite teasing a third installment, the account went completely silent. No follow-up footage, no statement from the homeowner, nothing. So did these two men unknowingly wake something sinister hiding inside that Bayview property? Or was this an elaborately crafted horror series played out under cover of darkness? Drop your thoughts below. Close to a year, the M8s have kept him settled at Meridian's new place, and he's been slowly building it into exactly the kind of home he envisioned. But there's one aspect of the property he'd happily do without. Shortly after he moved in, the generators blew and his circuits tripped. Objects would turn up in spots he never left them. Mysterious banging rang out with no identifiable source, and all of it was beginning to wear him down. He tried telling himself it was nothing that jar, the rice, the sculpture, just his imagination running wild. But once he began recording these incidents on his phone, brushing them off became a lot harder to do.
Hey, what's going on, guys? I've been trying to relax on my day off, but ever since the news of earlier has been a little bit difficult. So decided I just want to come outside and enjoy my backyard for a little bit, enjoy my rent, as I like to put it. And just let y'all know what's going to be happening with the page going forward. Oh no. So here's something I didn't tell you guys. A lot of y'all have been saying, be careful because these things can follow you home. I don't know if anything followed me home or if it followed me to work. I'm shaking. Before we go in there, I want y'all to know that that's not the first time this has happened. It's just been a while since it's happened. Okay. Yeah, y'all going first. I hate coming in here. I swear to you, it's always like the worst thing. I'm keeping the door open this time. I'm not closing it behind me. Yeah, how about that? Oh my God!
Still, stranger things have happened for less, and he found some reassurance in the fact that the activity appeared to be concentrated in the shed out back. As long as whatever it was stayed confined to that outbuilding, he figured he could manage. That sense of comfort, however, didn't stick around for long.
I apologize for how I look right now. I was trying to record another video for you guys, and while I was trying to record it, this happened. I'm going to teach you how to live your life in just 3 easy steps. I swear to you, that bathroom light just turned on. I didn't turn it on. I swear I could hear thumping. I'm looking at my window right now. See if we can see anything.
Whatever had been going on in the shed no longer seemed content to stay there. It had crossed into his home, and he realized with a sinking feeling that this presence had now invaded the one space where he still felt safe. From that moment on, he was constantly on alert, glancing over his shoulder, unable to shake the sensation that something was lurking just behind him. The activity kept up and appeared to grow more frequent with every passing day. Not knowing what else to do, he made the decision to keep documenting everything, setting up security cameras both inside and outside the house. At one point, he was out in the yard listening to music, completely oblivious to what was unfolding directly behind him. Without any warning, the shed door burst open, and some unseen force yanked at it aggressively. A moment later, it swung shut on its own, with nobody anywhere nearby who could have moved it. As unsettling as that was, at least the activity was still outside. But what the cameras picked up next would turn out to be far more disturbing. Right there in the footage, the door to one of the bedrooms swings open and then pulls shut completely on its own. But it wasn't the moving door that sent ice through his veins when he reviewed the recording. It was what materialized in the hallway, without any warning, a dark, shadowy figure that lurched into frame before vanishing as it crossed to the other side. Despite appearing somewhat translucent, the figure was strikingly tall, with a well-defined humanoid silhouette. This piece of footage was the last thing he ever expected to capture, leaving him to question whether he had finally recorded the entity responsible for everything he'd been going through. He confirmed he was entirely alone when this all took place, which made the appearance of that unexplained figure all the more impossible to dismiss. And with the situation inside the house apparently getting worse, it seems like he's completely out of moves. At this point, just pack the place with dynamite and be done with it. Wait a minute. This next story follows a series of deeply unsettling recordings from a couple named Crystal and Damien, who are currently living in what was meant to be their forever home. They purchased the property just a few months back and got engaged not long after moving in. But in spite of all that joy, a persistent sense of dread hung over the house. Unexplainable things kept occurring, and neither of them could make sense of it. Determined to prove they weren't losing their minds, they set up multiple cameras around the property, and what those cameras captured left no room for doubt. On August 6th, 2022, a hallway camera picks up something that's hard to explain away. Worth noting is that this footage was recorded well past midnight, at a time when the whole house should have been completely still. There's a knock at the front door, and Damien gets up to check it out, only to find nobody there. But that's just the beginning, because from this point on, things take a much darker turn.
That's how it's gonna make me feel at the end of the day. Like, it feels more like...
They don't mean to do, they're not like planning on, you know, they
Do you
don't...
know how it feels to hang out with a group of people, and they don't even want you there?
They do want you there.
I'm only there
They want you
because
there.
they
They
like
like you a lot.
you.
No, they don't. They
That's
like,
the only
they
reason.
like, yeah, they like me. They're my friends. But they're my, but they like you a lot.
They're acting fucking rude to me.
They're not trying. That's just how they. Hey.
Right as their argument hits its peak, keep your eyes on the cabinet behind them. A plate abruptly launches itself out, slamming down onto the counter with zero human involvement. They both freeze, completely baffled. Then moments later, a second plate drops, and this one shoots straight toward Damien, almost as though something is deliberately throwing it at him. It's as if whatever was in that house wanted to put a stop to the fight, or maybe it just wanted them to shut up. Either way, the situation only continues to intensify. Things reach a whole new level of disturbing when Crystal finds herself home alone one night, lying in bed scrolling through her phone, and here's what the camera caught. While Crystal was distracted on her phone, the bedroom door slowly glides open by itself. She doesn't panic right away, because her first assumption is that Damien must have finished work early and is standing out in the hallway. She waits for him to step inside, but the seconds tick by, and nobody walks through. Damien wasn't home. The realization that she was entirely alone in the house with a door that had just opened on its own was enough to send Crystal into a full state of panic. Eventually, the relentless activity pushed the couple to a breaking point. In a later update, Damien records himself from outside the house, visibly rattled.
Just Airbnb for the night, and just for the night.
Things had escalated to a point where living any kind of normal life under that roof was simply no longer possible. With a great deal of heartache, they walked away from their dream home, at least temporarily, hoping that some distance might settle things down. They checked into an Airbnb for the night, but by the following evening they had made up their minds to go back. They felt that the only real path forward was to face whatever was there head-on, so they arranged a séance, intending to make direct contact with the presence and respectfully ask it to move on. What happens next is immediate and absolutely chilling. It becomes painfully obvious that whatever occupies this house has no intention of leaving, and it has no interest in being spoken to. So the question remains, did Crystal and Damien unknowingly open something they have no idea how to shut? Or could this all be a case of fear spiraling into something that feels more real than it actually is? On November 22nd, 2021, a woman returned to her rental property to discover the front door standing wide open. She hadn't left it that way. No one else had any business being inside. She'd only been in the place for about a month, and that evening she was completely alone. So she dialed the police and reported a possible break-in. 2 officers arrived, asked her a handful of quick questions outside, told her to stay near the entrance, and headed in calling out as they moved.
What seems to be the problem?
I left for a while to go shopping, and when I came home, the door is open. I think somebody broke in.
Does anyone live in the house?
Yes, my husband, myself, and our 2 kids, but they're out of town right now. They're with his parents.
And how many rooms do you have?
2 upstairs and 1 downstairs.
All right, we're gonna have to go and search the house. Is it okay if we're going?
Yeah, of course.
You don't have any like pets or dogs or anything?
No.
Just stay here, man.
Police! If anyone's here, make yourself known.
Police!
And look, people always wonder why the officers didn't just flip the lights on. That's not how it works. When you're moving through an unfamiliar house searching for someone who might want to do you harm, you're not taking your hands off your weapon to fumble around a wall looking for a switch. So they swept the place room by room in the dark, flashlights and body cams running, and that was that. 1 officer took the lower floor, the other headed upstairs. For a stretch it was uneventful, just footsteps on the floor, light dragging across the walls, and the sound of quiet breathing in an empty house.
Anyone inside?
Ground floor clear, upper floor clear. No intruder, no forced entry, nothing that explained why that front door had been hanging wide open when she pulled up. Here's where things start to get strange though. She told the officers she shared the house with her husband and 2 kids, a family home. But every single closet they opened was completely bare, not cluttered or half settled the way a lived-in closet looks, but as if not one item had ever been placed inside them. The whole property carried this feeling of having been vacant for a long time, despite a family supposedly living there. And maybe they just hadn't gotten around to moving everything in yet, but watching the footage back it feels off, and you could see both officers sensed it too, even though neither one said a word about it. At that point it should have been over. House is clear. File the report.
Police! Anyone inside, make yourself known.
Downstairs clear. Upstairs clear?
Yeah.
Move on. Then the doors started swinging open, not gradually, not like a draft caught them. They were flying open the moment the officers drew close. The instant either one stepped toward a door, it would swing wide on its own, as if whatever was on the other side had been listening for them. You can hear their breathing shift on the body cam audio around this point, heavier, quicker. That involuntary response your body kicks into when something feels deeply wrong before your brain has even caught up. Then came the footsteps, heavy, deliberate, loud right behind them in the very hallway they'd just come through. Both officers heard it simultaneously and spun around to find nothing there. No person, no movement, no explanation, just an empty corridor that, a moment before, had something walking through it. They swept the entire house a second time and checked every conceivable hiding spot. Nothing. Both body cams confirmed it. Whatever had been moving through that house was close enough for two trained law enforcement officers to hear it clearly the whole time, and not once, not a single time, did either of them manage to catch a glimpse of it. In the video that follows, a man steps out of his house and makes his way toward his car. On the surface, it looks like nothing more than ordinary footage of someone leaving for the day, but what starts as a mundane clip takes a turn that left both him and the rest of his family deeply shaken. The footage was uploaded by his wife, who goes by the name Lisa Miller. She and her husband live a quiet suburban life with their small family, a family that recently got a little smaller, as Lisa had just lost her father. The exact circumstances of his passing aren't known, but one thing she'll always carry with her is the memory of him whistling constantly. He used to tell her that whenever she needed him, all she had to do was whistle. She can't reach him that way anymore, or so she thought, because this recording seems to suggest he might not be as far away as she believed. Here's what the camera picked up. The unmistakable sound of someone whistling comes through loud and clear on the footage. Despite how distinct it is, Lisa's husband doesn't appear to react to it at all. But for Lisa, that almost doesn't matter. The camera captured it, and that's all the proof she needs to feel that her father is still with her. She hasn't tried to find a rational explanation, and honestly, she has no interest in doing so, because whatever was recorded that day has brought her real comfort in her grief. So the question remains just who or what had the cabin on February 21st, 2025. A woman by the name of Dua Lupe was spending the night at a rental cabin booked for her sister's birthday celebration. As the evening wore on, she spotted what appeared to be a second, much smaller cabin directly across from hers. It looked completely deserted, its front door hanging wide open. Curious, she grabbed her phone and started filming as she walked over to investigate. See for yourself what unfolded.
Quedando en una cabaña por el cumpleaños de mi hermana y enfrente hay como una cabaña así como pero abandonada, chiquita, y es como una casita del árbol así como para niños, no sé, por eso se ve muy tenebrosa. No sé si se vaya a caer esto porque está como todo podrido y no veo como para encender las luces ni nada. Mira, allá está la cabaña y no tiene luz. Hay como una mesa, hay ganchitos de ropa y
Lupe lets out a terrified scream as the door directly ahead of her violently slams shut, without any warning, sending her sprinting away in a panic. What she failed to catch in the moment was that as she first moved toward the cabin, something or someone can clearly be seen peering out from behind the door. before pulling back into the darkness. Whatever it was appeared to have large glowing eyes and a luminous, glowing mouth. Dua Lupe has not set foot near that cabin again. We'll leave the final verdict up to you. In this next case, we're following a man who set out to explore a house he's convinced is haunted. His whole reason for filming was straightforward: give his audience a look inside the property and satisfy their curiosity. What he didn't expect was to walk away with footage that left every single viewer completely stumped.
¿Qué tal, chavales? Me acaban de pasar esta casa, es totalmente de día. Es una casa, no puedo tomar el frente, estoy en Ciudad Juárez. Y me dicen que esta casa está en renta, está en venta. En realidad no se ha vendido, pero es una casa que está totalmente embrujada. No sé. Esta puerta, esta es la cocina. Esta puerta se abre sola. Dice que la última vez que estuvieron aquí, se abrió sola. Nadie viene de noche.
The moment he steps through the door, he draws attention to one particular door that he claims moved by itself the last time he was there. He goes on to mention that he's been picking up strange voices throughout the house and experiencing an overwhelming feeling of unease. Despite being visibly unsettled, he pushes himself to head upstairs and show off one of the most unsettling spaces in the building, a room with no windows that, by his account, may have served some kind of dark ritual purpose. And it's right there that something deeply disturbing makes itself known in the recording.
Se escuchan ruidos de día, de noche. Y pues como ya van a entregar las llaves, me dieron permiso de venir, porque no se pudo vender. Por alguna razón no se pudo vender. Pero bueno. Si se fijan, no tiene ni ventanas, cabrón. No hay ventanas. Aquí pudieron haber tenido a alguien en contra de su voluntad. A ver, vamos a ver si esta puerta se regresa otra vez. Yo la abrí ahorita así. No sé quién podría vivir en un cuarto así sin ninguna. No, es normal. Está como caída y se regresa sola.
Overwhelmed by how oppressive the energy in that room feels, he decides it's time to go, but the second he turns to walk away, a shadowy figure can clearly be seen darting across the space directly behind him. The truly chilling detail is that he had absolutely no idea anything was there at the time. It wasn't until days later that a follower paused the footage, caught the exact frame, and dropped it in the comments. So here's the question: could this actually be evidence that something from the other side has taken up residence in this place? As always, I'd love to hear what you think. A TikTok creator named Alex Huff uploaded a video nearly a year ago that began as nothing more than a standard makeup tutorial, the kind of low-key, everyday content she'd clearly shared with her audience many times before. She was home by herself that day and decided to put together a quick clip revealing which makeup brand she preferred, something her followers had apparently been curious about for quite some time. She settled in front of her camera the way she likely had on countless uneventful occasions. Then, midway through walking her viewers through the product, everything shifted. Something occurs on screen that resists any straightforward explanation, a disturbing and unexplained moment so jarring that Alex's entire mood transforms in an instant, going from completely at ease to visibly frightened. Rather than pushing through the video or pausing to make sense of what had just occurred, she abandoned the house on the spot, leaving everything exactly where it was as she rushed out the door. She phoned her parents in a panic, and when they arrived, she showed them the recording directly, apparently finding it impossible to put into words what she had just witnessed, and needing them to see it with their own eyes. After that, the story goes oddly silent. No meaningful update has surfaced since. Alex eventually took the original video down altogether, as if she wanted to sever any connection to it and whatever it had managed to capture. By then, However, the footage had already escaped her reach entirely, spreading virally across TikTok and beyond, drawing in thousands of viewers who were quick to speculate that what it showed bore every hallmark of poltergeist activity. Alex herself only touched on it briefly in the aftermath, stating she had never encountered anything remotely like it, and that she intended to keep as much distance as possible between herself and anything paranormal going forward, a statement that many have since interpreted as the true reason she pulled the clip and went dark. To this day, no explanation has emerged, no follow-up has been offered, and no clarity exists around what actually unfolded in those few seconds that transformed a routine beauty video into something she was clearly unprepared for and desperate to leave behind. What's left is the footage itself, still making the rounds, still without resolution, leaving every viewer to draw their own conclusions about whether this was a carefully staged stunt engineered for attention or something far more difficult to dismiss. What you're about to see was filmed after dark inside an aging structure somewhere between a derelict warehouse and a weathered wooden cabin. The space is almost completely dark, with a single light source casting a dim glow over an old wooden door, its paint cracked and peeling away. Whoever was holding the camera had no intention of capturing anything eerie, but the moment the lens drifted upward toward the top of the doorframe, something stopped them cold, and the whole mood shifted. Take a close look at what the camera revealed. Direct your eyes to the area just above the door, and you'll spot a dense, writhing mass of spindly-legged creatures tangled together, their bodies constantly rearranging into new shapes. These are harvestmen commonly referred to as daddy longlegs, a species well known for congregating in shadowy, moisture-rich environments. At a certain moment, one of the creatures loses its grip and drops from the cluster, only to make its way back up and rejoin the group. Some people who've seen this footage argue it's perfectly ordinary behavior for these animals, while plenty of others feel that stumbling across this many of them packed together inside an abandoned structure is deeply unsettling, no matter the explanation. To this day, the clip keeps drawing attention and dividing opinion over what was truly going on in that building. At 3 in the morning, on a bitter winter night, Lou Rock and his friend James made their way onto the grounds of a derelict sugar mill in Hamilton. The vast property sat directly opposite the historic Hamilton jail and was made up of several crumbling structures: the main mill building, an all-black church, slave quarters, and what may have been a concealed train depot somewhere deep in the surrounding woods. What began as a paranormal investigation would end with both men fleeing for their lives as the crack of gunfire rang out through the darkness behind them.
It's a spooky night, guys. It's 3 a.m. You see the moon up there. There's the jail across the street. And man, that is such a spooky picture right there. Yes, I did. It just sounded like there was somebody in there, right? It sounded like...
The site carries a deeply troubling past. Inmates from the jail across the road were once transported over to serve as cheap labor for the mill. The complex ran on forced labor to process cotton, tobacco, and sugar, and the buildings still hold remnants of that brutal history. Lou had actually visited the property earlier that same day and had heard gunshots coming from somewhere on the grounds, yet he chose to come back after dark to investigate anyway.
Definitely a lot of history here. This place is really spooky. Earlier, I recorded some gunshots going off from this area.
Wait, what?
Yeah, I did. In the daytime.
Really?
Yeah.
Where? Like close?
The moment they stepped inside the main mill building, the atmosphere felt immediately deeply wrong.
Places back here, this is crazy. Did you hear something again? I was talking, I didn't hear anything.
You hear that?
Oh yeah, I just heard that. I think that's kind of...
I just heard something snapping too. I mean, there could be animals out here. My camera just literally turned itself off while looking.
The structure was essentially a death trap, 3 floors of rotting timber, corroded machinery, and debris strewn in every direction. No smoking signs plastered the walls, warning of the volatile fine powder that had once hung in the air. As they made their way up toward the higher floors, the building itself seemed to take notice of them.
Alright, so this is where the floor starts to get wonky.
That's a freaking piano? What?
So this floor is like completely going down.
Yeah, I feel it sloping down. Is it supposed to be like that?
No.
Oh, jeez.
Let's see. Step over this. Oh man, there's mattresses in here. Like somebody was living in here. Dude, the whole floor just shook when you did that.
Really?
Someone had clearly been living inside this abandoned mill. Fresh signs of occupation were everywhere: mattresses, cigarette butts, discarded clothing spread across the unstable floors. Then came the first sound that had absolutely no rational explanation. A low, guttural noise reverberated through the dark. Not quite a moan, not quite a growl, something that didn't fit neatly into either category.
Like moaning.
Yeah, it sounded like a moan.
As they pushed further in, they uncovered more unsettling details. Coils of barbed wire that likely originated from the jail across the street. Ancient cotton plants confirming this had indeed been a site of enslaved labor, and graffiti scrawled across the walls that read, "You're in heaven." Lou brought out his spirit box, and responses came almost instantly.
It's working. Like, it hasn't worked in a while. I don't understand. Why would it start working now? You know what's strange? I actually put a crystal near this. Not actually on purpose, but what if that, like, cleared it?
It might have cleaned it.
There's something up there. Oh, see, you heard that, right?
Didn't it?
The voices filtering through were broken and disturbing. Whatever it was, something was reaching out to them.
I'm hearing something walking around outside.
I've heard a couple voices. I hope there's nobody like...
As they continued moving through the building, the spirit box kept generating deeply unsettling replies. Then, Lou noticed something that stopped him cold.
Dude, I'm getting a really weird smell.
Really?
Yeah. Really strange. I know we're in an old building, but I'm getting...
The smell was impossible to place, not rot, not mildew, but something else entirely. Something was very wrong. They pushed on up to the 3rd floor, picking their way through wreckage and broken down equipment.
Yo.
Wait a minute. I just seen... Okay, again, maybe I'm wrong, okay? I swear I just seen something floating right here.
That's insane. My light.
Dude, that was insane.
All right, we're ready.
Okay, wait till I pick it up. Dude, that freaks me out. Right here. Ready?
Lou had caught something, a shadow, a shape, movement in the darkness, where there should have been nothing at all.
Me?
The responses coming through the spirit box grew sharper.
What's your name? Did you die here? Hey, you. Is it okay for us to be here?
More targeted. Then the entire building began to tremble.
I feel the whole floor feeling like it's shaking. Go. Go away.
The spirit box had just produced one word: help. Whatever was here was suffering, trapped in some way neither man could fully understand.
Oh, bro, I'm getting a real bad feeling in here.
Sponsor.
Sponsor? Yeah, my stomach is starting to hurt.
Lou's body was reacting violently, his stomach seizing up, every instinct screaming at him to get out. Still, they pushed forward, driven by the need to capture what was unfolding around them.
Whoa! Dude.
Oh, what the hell was that?
Once they had thoroughly combed through the mill, they made the decision to check the other structures on the property, the slave quarters and the church.
Dude, I keep hearing stuff. Alright, I'm ready.
Outside, Lou laid out the site's most harrowing history. Public executions had been carried out on these grounds, with crowds assembling to witness condemned men hang. He mentioned an article he had come across, claiming that someone had once killed a sheriff's officer here. They headed into the slave quarters first.
Let's see if this one's haunted. I think this is probably haunted. Any spirits, you'd like to come out and show yourselves? We'd love to talk to you, interact with you. This is cool, bro.
Almost immediately, something answered back.
There's holes right here, bro. Oh, sh!
What's that?
Oh, sh! Oh, sh!
Well, what the hell was that, for real?
Dude, that was on this side of that wall. Who did that? No, that came from over in this corner right here. Is there anybody that wants to speak?
They moved on and approached the church. Before they even set foot inside, Lou spotted something that stopped him dead.
I swear I just seen somebody in there.
You guys seen somebody in there?
Yeah.
A figure was standing in the shadows of the adjoining room, motionless, watching them. They continued toward the final structure, the church. The instant they crossed the threshold, the spirit box erupted with activity.
Oh my God!
And of course.
Dude, the spirit box said there's a man here. Yeah, dude.
Sometimes it's... That's great.
Get the F out.
The voice was unmistakable, sharp, aggressive, and direct. Whatever occupied this place wanted them out.
It's laughing.
Then came laughter, cold, mocking laughter bleeding through the device. Lou took a step forward, and another warning followed.
Dude, look at, I'm getting straight up goosebumps, bro.
Is there a spirit of a man here with us? Can you tell us your name? His name?
The messages coming through the spirit box grew more personal, more disturbing with every passing moment. They had documented everything they could, the voices, the shadows, the physical toll the place had taken on them. It was time to go, but as they made their way back toward their vehicle, something unfolded that transformed their paranormal investigation into a genuine fight for survival. A gunshot rang out. The panic was immediate and overwhelming, and both men broke into a run.
Yo. Bro. Oh my god. Alright, man. I'm ready to bounce. Yo. Oh! Yo. 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 Yo, let's go. Let's go. There's a tree here. Let's go. What the hell was that, bro?
Did somebody shoot at us?
Dude, they're behind us. Go, 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 go!
Someone was firing in their direction, or something was closing in behind them. The two men tore through the darkness, crashing through dense overgrowth, desperately searching for a way off the property.
What the f***? Dude, we're trapped. Dude, we're trapped. Bro, we're trapped. Dude, we need to get out of here.
Lou caught a glimpse of a figure moving through the shadows behind them. Whether it was a living person or something else entirely, there was no way to know. What he did know was that they had to get out. They made it, shaken to their core and terrified, but alive. The question that has stayed with them ever since: who pulled that trigger? Was it a squatter defending their space inside the abandoned mill, or was it somehow connected to the voices, the shadows, and the entity that had ordered them to get out? The old sugar mill complex still stands in Hamilton, right across from the jail. The footage Lou captured that night remains among the most striking evidence of hostile paranormal activity ever recorded in an abandoned location. But the price of that footage came dangerously close to being far too high. TikTok creator Francisco Javier claims the unsettling events in his Spanish home all started after he stumbled upon a derelict farm, sitting alone in the middle of nowhere. He describes the location as being absolutely charged with paranormal energy.
Que no sé, tío. Está por aquí. Hola. Escúchenlo. Ah, ¿qué va? Coña. Ahora sí. Me caos. Ahora sí me lo hizo detrás de mí.
While Francisco is filming at the property, a door suddenly slams shut right behind him. From that point on, he becomes convinced that something lurking at that abandoned site may have decided to come back with him.
Empiezo a grabar porque estoy escuchando sonidos desde el baño muy raros y estoy solo en casa. Dentro del baño. ¿Qué cojones?
Once he's back in his apartment, Francisco suspects he isn't dealing with just a single entity. He starts picking up mocking voices, bouts of laughter, and even the sound of someone weeping in the dead of night. On one occasion, Francisco hears what can only be described as a baby crying somewhere inside his apartment. Deeply unnerved, he goes through every room searching for an explanation, but comes up completely empty. Then, on a separate night, the situation takes an even darker turn when his Amazon Alexa begins behaving in ways it shouldn't. Francisco insists the Alexa is unplugged, yet it suddenly speaks up in Spanish, saying, But that moment with the device is far from the last. What follows only gets stranger. A female voice appears to giggle through the Alexa, though it cuts off the instant Francisco steps around the corner. Then a completely different voice, noticeably deeper and far more threatening, calls out his name. With no clue how to put an end to any of this, Francisco tries his best to carry on as usual. But one evening, while he's at home with the TV on, the disturbances come back.
Acabo de empezar a escuchar a tocar desde esa puerta. ¿Están tocando desde ahí? ¿O es cosa mía? Quiero ver. ¿Hola? No puede ser. ¿Qué coño es eso? ¿Qué coño es eso, tío? ¿Qué coño es eso? ¿Qué cojones? Hay una luz aquí encendida también. ¿Qué era eso, loco? ¿Qué era eso? Nada, tío. ¡Buf!
Francisco hears a knocking at his hallway door. He gets up to investigate and spots what looks like a small child peering in through the window. Startled, he throws the door open, only to find nobody there. So did something hitch a ride home with Francisco from that derelict farm? Was he being tormented by multiple spirits? Or was the whole thing one carefully constructed hoax? The call is yours. Late one afternoon, a woman named Jasmine and her young daughter are seen sprinting home after realizing a suspicious individual had been tailing them. The unsettling stranger is picked up by the doorbell camera tracking them all the way to their front door. But Jasmine noticed that in the middle of all this chaos, something else entirely strange was also taking place.
It's ring camera footage, and I don't understand how.
Moments after they made it inside, this is what unfolded as the man approached their door.
I just called the police. Get out front of my door. I know you heard me. Get out front of my door. This is the last time I'm gonna tell you. Get out front of my door right now. The police on the way. Go!
Pay close attention. Because she was so shaken up by being followed, Jasmine completely missed the fact that a nearby door had swung open by itself, hanging ajar for a brief moment before quietly shutting again. But that detail alone isn't what disturbs her the most. When she goes back to inspect that door later on, things take a much darker turn.
An update on what happened in the ring camera footage when I was with my daughter the other day. And they stole my ring camera, but that's another story for another day. Anyway, y'all, in the 3 years that I've lived here, I have never seen this door come open. Ever. Like, look at that. But in the video, you saw the door just came open. Who opened the door? Like, look at that. Like, pitch black. Like, make it make sense. Like, how? How? I don't know. It don't make sense.
That door had been locked for as long as Jasmine had lived in the building, spanning several years. So how on earth did it suddenly swing open? She has no answer, but the deeper she digs, the more unsettling it becomes. Regardless, Jasmine is now set on finding out what lies behind that door. She contacts the building's property management team, shows them the footage, and convinces them to unlock it and take a look inside. What they find makes everything significantly more frightening.
Management sent somebody else to come take a look, so I'm gonna let him do what he do, and I'm gonna stay back here.
The light works.
You say the light works? Yeah, he said the light works. Oh, Lord. The fuck? What is that? Yo. What the hell is going on? Y'all see all these little kids? Should they have put kids' shoes up in there? What the? So how did? So hold on, because no, this other day the door came open when I was in here. So if the door came open, like Nah, I'm sorry, I'm not. Okay, y'all. So remember that thing? I thought it was a snake. I really thought it was some plastic, but y'all, I'm not finna get close to this shit. But this is real snake skin. Oh my god! Look at this shit. You can see like, ooh. Oh my god.
See for yourself. Piled up inside the room is an enormous collection of children's shoes, a discovery that shook Jasmine to her core. The implications of that go well beyond anything supernatural. After going through the shoes more carefully, Jasmine is left completely rattled by what she finds buried within the pile.
Back at this video that I took with the property manager guy, right? And I noticed something in them pile of shoes. Those frozen Elsa boots, whatever you want to call it, those boots are my daughter's. Like, I'm gonna show y'all a picture that me and my daughter took, like, I want to say like 2 months ago. Yo, this is crazy because I really thought she just lost them at school.
It raises a deeply troubling question: how did her daughter's boots end up mixed in with all of those shoes? And why are they all children's shoes? Combine that with the fact that a stranger had followed them home, and it starts to paint a very disturbing picture. After learning that nobody had been granted access to that room in years, Jasmine arrives at a chilling conclusion.
Must be going around here just collecting shoes. I'm not gonna say collecting, I'm stealing little kids' shoes around here. I've talked to at least 2 or 3 different people in this building who have said that their children been missing shoes. So I'm thinking that somebody has access to that room and they're going around stealing shoes and then taking them and putting them in there. But my question is, though, why though? They're just putting shoes in the room like.
She believes someone inside the building has been secretly accessing that room and using it to stash stolen footwear. Property management told her all the shoes had been removed and that they intended to rekey the lock so it would stay secured permanently. They also advised her to stay alert and monitor her camera in the meantime, which prompted Jasmine to take things a step further and set up a trap of her own.
To the bottom of this, see these little shoes right here? Put them here as bait, right? Bought some real cheap shoes, just, you know, little kids' shoes or whatever. But what I did was, I got me a plant, right? A little cheap plant too, but look what's inside the plant. Hopefully y'all can see.
Her theory is that whoever takes the boots and slips into that room will turn out to be the same person responsible for other thefts in the building, including the theft of her Ring camera. She monitors the hallway for 2 full nights without incident, but on the 3rd day, the camera catches something no one was prepared for. Without any warning, one of the boots appears to move entirely on its own. It seems to lurch upward and land in front of the other boot, almost as though it had taken a step forward. Her next-door neighbor, who witnessed it firsthand, was immediately terrified. But once he hears the full story, it only gets worse. Apparently, she had stepped out of her apartment after hearing what sounded like a baby wailing just outside her door. After a few seconds, she edged closer to the locked room and realized the crying seemed to be coming from inside, which frightened her enough to back away, and that's precisely when the boot lurched forward on its own. There's no audio of any crying captured in the footage, so it's difficult to confirm whether she actually heard it, though the way she emerged from her apartment and began scanning the hallway does suggest something had grabbed her attention. Regardless, none of that accounts for the deeply unsettling movement of those boots. From that point on, Jasmine threw the boots away, too disturbed to keep them around. Not long after, property management finally got around to installing a proper lock on the door. When Jasmine filmed an update to show the new lock in place, something alarming happened that she never saw coming.
As you can see, property manager came and put a lock on the door, and whoever was in there, the fuck? Just.
Right after panning to show the newly secured door, a separate door right beside it, which had also been locked the entire time, slowly begins to open on its own before drifting shut again as she inches toward it. Jasmine rushes back into her apartment, completely unnerved by everything she's experienced. Since then, she hasn't posted any further updates, leaving the whole situation frustratingly unresolved. For now, this remains one genuinely creepy mystery with no clear answers. Deep in the dead of night, a guy known as Object is alone in his room scrolling through his phone when something disturbing pulls his focus. There's a doll sitting in the corner, and after an eerie noise breaks the silence, he decides to start filming. What his camera picked up has had people online questioning what actually took place. The doll seems to shift entirely on its own. Sure, gravity could be a factor, but there's something about this that's a whole lot harder to dismiss. To this day, nobody has been able to explain it. A father was sitting in his home office when his young son burst through the door in a panic. The boy was adamant that there was a man in the living room who had been moving things around. When the father went to investigate, he discovered several items strewn across the floor. With no obvious answer in sight, he pulled up the security footage, and what he found on it was genuinely disturbing. A small toy appeared to glide across the floor on its own, and seconds later the family's dog bed did the same. There was nobody visible who could have been responsible for either movement. The boy, clearly shaken, walked up to the bed and shoved it away, but then, just moments afterward, the bed shot back toward him at speed, knocking him off his feet. Fortunately, he wasn't hurt, but the footage left the father with a question he couldn't shake. If the room was empty, what exactly had been behind those movements? Was there some rational explanation waiting to be found? Or had the boy genuinely encountered something or someone that shouldn't have been there? With security cameras now blanketing homes across the country, it's hardly shocking that bizarre footage keeps surfacing on a daily basis. And ever since smart doorbells became a fixture on millions of front porches, some recordings have left homeowners with a lot more questions than they bargained for. That's apparently what unfolded outside one particular residence when its doorbell camera caught something deeply unsettling on film.
Camera recording.
Standing just outside the front door is what appears to be a strange, ghostly figure. A pale outline holds completely motionless, facing directly toward the house without so much as a twitch. Then, the instant the doorbell chimes to signal that it's recording, the figure vanishes on the spot, almost as though it sensed it had been detected. Sure, someone dressed in very pale clothing or a quirk of the camera's lens could account for what we're seeing. But the sheer speed at which this shape seems to materialize and then blink out of existence was more than enough to send speculation into overdrive. This chilling footage dates back to 2023 and was captured by a young man named Diego, who posted it to his account, where it exploded in popularity almost immediately. That day, Diego had gone to church with his wife to pray, and while he sat there filming the interior, something shocking and deeply unsettling unfolded right before his eyes. Take a look at what his camera caught. It's easy to miss at first, but once the footage is zoomed in and sharpened, you can clearly make out the statue's eye shifting. Videos filmed inside churches, showing seemingly self-moving statues, are far from rare. Some viewers believe moments like these are divine miracles, while others are convinced it's all just a clever trick. Where do you stand on that? A couple in West Virginia run a small pet shop, and they typically allow one of their older dogs to roam freely around the store. But one morning when they arrive to open up, something feels off. The dog isn't his usual cheerful self. Instead, he's huddled in his bed, shaking, and flat out refuses to budge. The owners grow concerned and pull up the security footage to figure out what could have frightened him so badly. What they find is genuinely baffling. At roughly 11:30 at night, the camera captures the little dog wandering through the darkened store with no real direction. Then, without any warning, some unseen force appears to slam the dog hard to the side, almost like he'd been struck by a powerful kick. Fortunately, the pup walked away without any serious injuries. But was this just some bizarre fluke, or does this little pet shop have an invisible visitor that nobody can explain? Derelict structures have long drawn in urban explorers and ghost hunters alike. Indiana State Sanatorium sits at the top of many people's lists, largely because locals have built up quite a reputation around the place being deeply haunted. According to the stories, the spirits wandering its halls belong to former patients who died there many years ago. A number of those patients were reportedly subjected to mistreatment, and it's believed their restless souls remain trapped within the crumbling facility, still seeking some form of justice. A photograph recently uploaded to Reddit by one such explorer claims to have caught one of those spirits on film. There appears to be a shadowy figure hovering in the background of the image. Take a moment to study it. It genuinely resembles a human form, possibly a woman, dressed in a long hospital gown. The person who posted it says they have absolutely no rational explanation for what showed up in that shot. What they do recall, though, is feeling an almost suffocating sense of dread from the moment they stepped inside Indiana State Sanatorium until the moment they left. That experience alone has convinced them that the legends surrounding the place are far more than just stories. It really does make you wonder. Josh Robillard had recently relocated to a new house in Canada, far from his relatives, but almost immediately after settling in, he started encountering a series of unsettling events. Late one evening, as he was getting ready for bed, Josh heard what sounded like movement coming from one of the rooms. Fearing that an intruder might actually be inside, he grabbed his phone, switched on the camera, and went to check it out. What he captured in those next few moments was something he struggled to find any rational explanation for.
Okay, I keep hearing shit up here. There's nobody else home besides me. There's definitely no one's coming from up here. I left that on, so that's okay. Not again. I don't want to deal with this. I do not want to deal with this. No, not again. Not again, not again, not again, not again. Not again, not again, not again, not again.
As Josh stepped into the room, a dark silhouette could be seen standing motionless in the shadows. Josh appeared to register its presence, yet rather than confronting whatever it was, he acted completely unfazed and quietly backed away. When he worked up the nerve to look again, the figure had simply vanished. The shape itself seemed unnaturally dark, almost as if it were swallowing the light that surrounded it. Josh later said he could make out what looked like a hat sitting on top of the figure's head, which led him to suspect that the same mysterious presence had been roaming through his home. Shaken by the experience, Josh went back to stay with his family, but a few weeks later, he returned. And sure enough, the strange sounds started up once more. Pay close attention to what happens next.
Hearing shit downstairs. Rustling stuff. I'm gonna go check it out. Shouldn't bring anybody here but me.
And let's not forget there was somebody in our house. By the way.
Go away.
Trailer and died because somebody was in there while we were in their house.
Josh reportedly froze the moment he spotted what seemed to be that same hat-wearing silhouette standing in the doorway. He immediately barricaded himself in another room, desperately hoping the presence would simply move on. Instead, something began hammering furiously against the door. Then, after a few tense moments, the noise stopped completely. Josh became convinced that the house was being haunted by a sinister entity, and eventually linked the figure to what paranormal circles call the Hat Man. A creature of modern folklore, the Hat Man is typically described as a tall, featureless shadow dressed in a wide-brimmed hat and a long dark coat. While countless people claim to have crossed paths with him, no scientific evidence has ever confirmed that such an entity actually exists. Notably, figures matching this description are frequently reported during episodes of sleep paralysis, where intense hallucinations can make an imagined presence feel absolutely real. So what was Josh genuinely experiencing? Was this truly the Hat Man, or something far more mundane that just happened to look terrifying through a phone camera? That's for you to judge. The clips you're about to see all come from a guy named Brad, who moved into a new apartment not too long ago. Shortly after settling in, he started getting the sense that he wasn't alone in the place. In the beginning, it was nothing more than an uneasy feeling, but over time he says odd things began occurring all throughout the apartment. As the weeks progressed, Brad claims these incidents started happening more and more often. Eventually, he says he began picking up unexplained voices inside the unit, and at some point, he believes he actually caught one of them on video.
This is where I've been getting most of the activity from, right here in my bedroom. Just looks like a normal bedroom. I don't know. Is there anybody in here? Is there anybody in this room?
You can clearly hear a voice saying the words "get out." After he posted the footage, some people in the comments suggested that someone was hiding beneath the sheets and whispering those words. Brad responded by pulling back the blankets to show there was nothing underneath, just a stack of pillows. Then, a couple of days later, while he was stretched out on the couch, he suddenly had the overwhelming sensation that someone was staring at him. He picked up his phone and hit record, and here's what the camera picked up. The experience shook Brad badly enough that he packed up and spent the night somewhere else, coming back only the next morning. He also noted that his cats frequently behave oddly, particularly in the part of the apartment where most of the strange activity seems to be centered. Even after trying to brush it all off, the incidents kept coming, and over the following weeks he documented even more moments he couldn't account for. What had begun as a vague, unsettling feeling had since grown into disembodied voices, bizarre occurrences, and a string of events he simply had no rational answer for. Brad says the majority of these encounters tend to concentrate in the same spot within the apartment, and his cats consistently seem to react to whatever presence may be lurking there. Whether any of this has a paranormal explanation or not is still an open question. So what's your take on what's been going on in his apartment? Is something genuinely there with him? Or do you think there's a more logical reason behind everything he's been recording? Drop your thoughts below. The following video was recorded on a Friday night in February of 2008, when two men set up cameras in the attic of a house in West Allis, Wisconsin, an unfinished space with exposed rafters and a small wooden chair sitting near the window, the kind of room that already feels unsettling before anything actually happens. As they continue investigating, one of them suddenly captures something barely audible above a whisper, a voice that sounds unmistakably like it says, "Wanna go outside? Watch."
Difference in the roof and the floor. So
56? 70?
No.
Between 50... 70?
No.
Between 50...
Well, it's like 12:30, and I think that it was about an hour since we heard those footsteps coming through here, but I don't know what that was from. What's our average temperature?
It's about 37, 38.
That's why I'm cold. And I'm getting like a 0.2 all the way through the room.
Wait, it's going to 45. There's 50. Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out! 45. There's 50. Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out! There's 50. Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out! Oh, I got a 50.
I got a reading here.
Oh, shit! Okay. I'm out!
The EMF meter spikes hard, beeping fast and urgent, and before either of them can react, a loud percussive bang tears through the attic with no visible source, and both men are gone from that room in seconds, shouting and scrambling over each other to get out. What makes this one harder to dismiss is the chair. If you slow it down and look at the background footage, the wooden chair near the window violently jolts at the exact moment the bang lands. Not a gradual shift, not a settle, but a sharp, sudden movement, as if something struck it or launched off of it. The chair had nothing sitting on it. The bang itself has no obvious source in any of the angles available. Some investigators who've reviewed similar cases point to the combination of events: EMF spike, temperature drop, unexplained sound, and physical object movement all happening within the same window of time, as consistent with what's sometimes called a poltergeist phenomenon, a category of activity traditionally associated with forceful, attention-seeking presence rather than passive residual energy. Whether something in that attic genuinely wanted them gone or just wanted to remind them it was there, the footage doesn't answer. What would you have done if you were still in that room? This next clip comes from a 2007 stage production of Beauty and the Beast, recorded inside a theater, and for years, the people who worked there had a name for whatever seemed to linger on that stage. They called her Shannon. The footage itself isn't great quality. It's an old recording being played back on a screen, but what happens when the stage lights go down and the fog rolls in is what's kept this clip circulating for years. Watch.
Try and pause it. terrifying. Oh my.
At around the 27-second mark, a faint, whitish-green shape appears floating roughly 8 to 10 feet above the stage floor, vaguely humanoid, semi-transparent, with what looks like a head and torso suspended in the darkness. And if you needed any confirmation that what appeared on screen was genuinely unsettling, the reactions say everything. The group watching erupts, screams, gasps, someone yelling, "Oh my God," another voice just saying, "terrifying." That kind of collective reaction is hard to manufacture. Some think it's a trick of the stage fog, catching a stray light source, while others believe Shannon has been a fixture of that theater long before anyone thought to film her. Whether it's a ghost, a reflection, or something in between, she's been showing up on that stage for a long time now. The following clips all come from the same account, a man who's been documenting what he describes as an ongoing haunting inside his home, and the activity, according to him, has been building steadily. In the first clip, it's late at night when his small dog suddenly jumps onto the back of the couch and starts barking, not playfully, but with the kind of locked, alert attention animals get when something isn't right. He grabs his camera and follows the dog's line of sight toward the front of the house. Watch.
What the hell just happened?
My dog just started fucking barking. Let's see. Holy shit, there's somebody out there. What the fuck?
Through the slats of the window, a tall, dark, humanoid silhouette is standing completely still just outside, and the moment he reacts and pulls the door open, it's gone. The yard is empty, 3 pink flamingo ornaments in the grass, distant city lights, nothing else. No footsteps, no movement, no sign of where it went. For a lot of viewers, the dog's reaction is the detail that's hardest to dismiss. Animals don't perform on cue, and whatever that silhouette was, it was there long enough to be seen and gone fast enough to leave no trace. In the second clip, he sits down to address his audience directly, and what starts as a clarification about his appearance turns into something much heavier. He's a cancer survivor. The disease was in his arm, and between the surgery, radiation, and chemotherapy, he came close to not making it at all. It was during that period, while on a tour of the Queen Mary, that he had his first unexplained experience.
Hey everyone, things have been pretty quiet for a few days now, so I wanted to address some of the comments that I've seen and people wondering about me having one arm. Yeah, I have one arm. It's actually because I'm a cancer survivor, and it was in my arm, so they had to amputate it. And between the radiation and chemo and surgeries, they kind of bring you to the brink of death without actually killing you. I feel like that's where I had my first paranormal experience. During my chemo, I went on a tour of the Queen Mary, and I was in a big group, and we went past this long vacant hallway that was like completely gutted in the interior of the ship, and suddenly I hear boom, 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 and then I turned to the people that were with me, and I was like, did you hear that? And they're like, no, nobody else in the group heard it, just me. And I'm wondering how much that has to do with what's going on now. I'm not sure.
The Queen Mary, docked in Long Beach, California, has one of the most documented paranormal reputations in the country. Decades of reported encounters, multiple full investigations, and a history that includes deaths aboard the ship during its years of service. Some researchers believe the vessel holds residual energy from that history, and others think certain people, particularly those who've been close to death themselves, may be more open to perceiving it. Whether that brush with mortality during his treatment left him more sensitive to whatever this is, he can't say for certain. It's unclear whether he's been followed or whether something was already in the house waiting. Then there's the door cam footage. It's nighttime again, the hallway quiet, and the camera catches a closed wooden door from a low angle when the latch audibly clicks, and the door swings open inward on its own. Watch.
Did somebody open the door?
What makes this particular piece harder to explain is the audio. The latch disengages before the door moves, which rules out a simple draft pushing it. Skeptics will point to pressure differentials or a faulty strike plate, and those aren't unreasonable arguments. But taken alongside the figure in the yard, the dog's alarm, and the history he's now carrying, it starts to feel less like a series of coincidences and more like a pattern building towards something. Whatever is happening in that house seems to know when he's watching and when he's not. The following video was recorded inside what appears to be a basement room late at night, where a woman, off camera, is filming her young daughter, Cheyenne. The little girl, dressed in pink pajamas, is sitting in her walker near the center of the room. She isn't playing. She isn't looking around. She's completely fixated on the dark doorway in front of her, crying and whimpering in a way that sounds less like a tired baby and more like a baby that sees something. The woman calls out to her softly, "Shy, shy," then Cheyenne, trying to pull her attention away. It doesn't work. Watch.
Shy, shy. Cheyenne. Cheyenne. Cheyenne.
What makes this unsettling is how completely focused she remains on that doorway. She doesn't glance toward the camera or respond normally to her mother's voice. Her eyes stay fixed in the same direction while her crying continues as though she's watching something approaching from the darkness. Paranormal believers often point to reactions like this as possible evidence that young children can perceive things adults cannot. The belief is that babies and very young children may be more sensitive to unusual sounds, movements, or even supposed spiritual activity because they haven't yet learned to filter out things that adults automatically ignore. Of course, there are ordinary explanations too. A baby can become intensely focused on a dark doorway because of a sound, shadow, reflection, movement, or something else outside the camera's view. Her reaction alone can't tell us what she was actually seeing, but whatever caught her attention, she never seems to look away from it. This next video follows the same man across two separate moments inside what appears to be his home, and together they paint a picture of a situation that seems to be getting harder to ignore. In the first clip, he's filming his fish tank late at night, a casual moment, completely ordinary, narrating his new additions and asking his viewers for name suggestions. Watch. If you look closely, a hand appears to be resting against the side of the fish tank. He notices it and immediately goes around to check. There's nobody there. The second clip appears to be from a separate night. He mentions it's around 1 a.m., that he's been hearing banging and footsteps on and off for the past several days, and that tonight it started again. He's filming the dark staircase, the kitchen lit behind him, trying to catch whatever keeps waking him up. Listen closely.
Alright guys, so I just thought I'd record a video. I'm home alone. I've been hearing like occasional like banging noises every few days. It's quite late at night, it's like about 1 a.m. now. I heard a couple of sort of banging. Sometimes it sounds like footsteps, like in the last 10 minutes. Sorry, my camera, by the way, keeps defocusing, I'm not sure why. But yeah, I just thought I'd record to just try and like catch any... Fucking hell, man.
Heavy stomps erupt from somewhere just out of frame, forceful enough that they don't sound like a settling house or a pipe shifting. They sound like weight, like something upstairs with size to it. His reaction, an immediate, involuntary shout, is the kind that doesn't come from someone who staged a sound. Skeptics would point to old construction, plumbing, or a neighbor in a shared wall, but he describes this as something that's been building for days, which rules out a one-off noise. For viewers who followed similar cases, a pattern like this, unexplained sounds escalating over time, concentrated near staircases and upper floors, often gets compared to what some call a territorial presence, something that he still hasn't explained what's at the top of those stairs. And honestly, I'm not sure he knows either. The following video was captured at dusk, somewhere over a remote stretch of hilly landscape. The terrain below is dry and rocky, the kind of isolated stretch where you don't expect much of anything to be happening overhead. But something was. Watch. A thin, dark, vertically elongated object hangs completely motionless in the sky above the ridge. No wings, no rotors, no drift. Nothing that explains how it stays there. The person filming zooms in, holds on it, and it doesn't move once, not even slightly. Skeptics have suggested it could be a kite or an unusual balloon, but what's harder to dismiss is the shape. Narrow, rod-like, and perfectly still against a moving, clouded sky. Some viewers call objects like this rods or skyfish, a loose category of aerial anomalies that have appeared in footage for decades without a satisfying explanation. What do you think was hanging over that hill? In this next clip, a woman is conducting a late-night paranormal investigation. Not in an abandoned building or a historic location, but at home, seated across from a large, realistic doll with red curly hair and a wide, frozen smile. The doll's name is Christy, and she's been holding on to her for a while now, long enough to set up a full investigation around her, a REM pod on the floor, an EMF meter flickering between Christy's feet, a spirit box running, and a flashlight placed directly in the doll's inanimate hand. She starts by asking Christy to prove she's present. Watch.
Christy, can you show me you're here right now? Good job. Can you touch your favorite tool? Definitely the REM pod. Can you turn that off? Can you turn it back on? Good job. Can you hold it down in your favorite color, honey? It's black, but you said green. And green, black and green. Wow, that's going really fast. The sweep rate. Were you in the army? You can use these words in this app to communicate anything you want to me. Are you able to piece them together to tell me how you passed away? Ammo? Did somebody SHOOT you? Yeah. Are you 28? Christy, how can I help you? Is there anything you want to tell me right now?
The REM pod responds almost immediately, lighting up and sounding a full alarm. Then the flashlight in the doll's hand turns on, switches off, and turns back on, each time appearing to follow the woman's verbal requests. When the spirit box session begins, the responses start specific. Favorite colors, a direct yes or no exchange, and then something much heavier, what sounds like a confirmation that Christy was shot and died at the age of 21. What makes that harder to dismiss is the moment the woman mentions her own back pain, and the box, seconds later, produces the words, "her back hurts." That's either a remarkable coincidence or something picking up on details it shouldn't have access to. But then the tone shifts entirely. The later responses, interpreted as ammo back, do it, push, don't tell her, suggest something that isn't simply communicating, it's giving instructions. If you focus on the progression of the session, it moves from playful and responsive to something that sounds almost like it's planning something. Skeptics will point to spirit box apps being built around radio frequency sweeps that produce random audio fragments, which the human brain naturally assembles into meaningful patterns, a well-documented phenomenon called apophenia. But the timing of specific responses, especially the back pain moment, is the kind of detail that's difficult to write off cleanly. Some viewers think Christy isn't just haunted, they think whatever is attached to her has been waiting for the right moment to say exactly what it said. What do you do when the doll starts asking for revenge? Now in this next clip, a man is alone at his workplace, a store he's in the middle of closing for the night, when something he can't explain makes physical contact with him. He's been noticing strange activity in the building lately, sounds he can't account for, a feeling that something is present even when the aisles are completely empty. And tonight, it finally pushed past whatever boundary had been keeping it at arm's length. The store is dark except for the artificial glow of the refrigerator displays and the overhead lights, and he's the only person there. Watch.
Oh, no, I just got touched. Nope. Okay, so I'm here at work. Bro, I'm telling you, you heard that, right? I'm closing. And I'm like hearing stuff, bruh. I'm like closing right now, and I'm hearing, bruh, come on, man. Nobody's in here. I'm literally closing. Yo. I don't know what's going on with this thing, but it's been like really active here lately. Just wanted to show you guys. There's nobody in the store but me.
Almost immediately, you can hear the panic in his voice as he says he just got touched by something he couldn't see. And as he moves through the aisles with a shaky camera, two separate audio anomalies stand out. A faint, breathy whisper underneath his speech, and later, a sharp, clipped vocalization near the front of the store that he reacts to instantly. The clicking sound from the dark back room is harder to dismiss, too, especially since it stops the moment he checks. Some viewers pointed to the mimic label when describing what they heard, a term used in paranormal communities to describe entities believed to manipulate sound and voice to draw people toward them or provoke reactions. Others went further, calling it demonic, a word that carries weight across multiple belief systems, from early Mesopotamian tradition all the way through modern Christian theology, where demons are understood as entities that act with deliberate intent. The store's security monitors show every corner of the building. Nothing else is in there with him. So what touched him? This next video comes from a man who decided to document what had been happening inside his home late at night. A house that, on the surface, looks completely ordinary. Toys are scattered across the floor, a dining table sits in the center of the room, and a red rocking horse rests quietly in the corner. But before showing the activity itself, he takes a moment to explain why he believes the footage is so difficult to dismiss. He opens the settings for his Xbox Kinect sensor, demonstrating its built-in infrared camera and depth sensing technology, showing that even in complete darkness, it can map the room with remarkable clarity. His point is simple: if someone were standing in the room, the camera should be able to detect them. Watch.
Hey you guys, I just wanted to show you guys a pretty quick feature of the Xbox One and its Kinect. It actually has a pretty cool night vision that I just found today. And if you guys already know it has night vision, then I'm going to show the people who don't know. So right now it's completely dark in this house right now. All you can basically see is my Xbox One controller. Now I'm going to switch on the night vision for you guys. As you can see, it lights up the whole room. It's actually a pretty cool feature. I don't know if they have an app for this or whatnot, but they also have this version of the camera. I don't know what it is. I think it's either infrared or something like that. And then back to dark. As you can see, all you can see is my Xbox controller. And then back to night vision. It's actually, pretty cool feature for the Xbox Kinect that I haven't really heard of until now. Maybe they have an app for it or something like that. But yeah, thanks for watching.
If you look closely toward the right side of the screen, a dark, human-shaped figure appears to lean out from behind the wall, as though quietly watching him. It remains visible for only a brief moment before withdrawing back into the darkness. The figure has become the focus of the clip. Some viewers believe it's simply a shadow created by the Kinect's infrared imaging, or a distortion caused by the depth sensor struggling in low light. Others argue the movement is too deliberate, comparing it to reports of shadow figures, dark, humanoid forms frequently described in paranormal accounts as silently observing people before disappearing. While there is no scientific evidence supporting such claims, shadow apparitions remain one of the most commonly reported phenomena in alleged haunting cases. The second recording takes the investigation even further. This time, he's moving through the house alone, repeatedly calling out for someone named Alvin as he searches each room. At first, he sounds more annoyed than frightened, but that changes almost immediately. Around 12 seconds into the recording, a children's toy begins playing a slow melody entirely on its own from somewhere in the dark living room. He follows the sound until he spots a single flashing orange light. Before he can even reach it, a second toy suddenly activates across the room, playing a completely different tune. Now 2 toys are operating at the same time. He calls Alvin's name again. No answer. He checks the kitchen, the hallway, a closed bedroom door, even the garage. The house appears to be empty. Watch.
Alvin. Fuck. This fucking shit ain't funny anymore, man. Alvin. Shit ain't funny, man. Alvin. Hey, bro.
Skeptics point out that battery-powered toys are known to activate unexpectedly. Failing batteries, faulty wiring, moisture, pressure switches, and motion sensors can all cause electronic toys to turn on without anyone touching them. Those who believe the house may be haunted see something more significant. In paranormal folklore, children's toys are often reported as alleged trigger objects, items said to respond during periods of unexplained activity because of their lights, sounds, or perceived connection to youthful energy. There is no evidence supporting that belief, but it has become a recurring theme in countless haunting reports. Whether the toys malfunctioned or whether something unseen was moving through that living room, the image that lingers isn't the music. It's that brief, silent figure peeking around the corner, watching him long before the toys ever began to play. This next clip comes from Brazil, recorded late at night by a man who woke up in his darkened living room to something that immediately unsettled him. According to him, he'd been sleeping in the room with his girlfriend, and he woke up hearing her voice calling to him, except when he grabbed his phone and started recording, she was right there on the couch, completely asleep, covered in a comforter, their dog curled up beside her. She hadn't said a word. Listen closely.
Que porra é essa, mano?
Vem cá.
Que porra é essa?
What you hear is a faint, whispery female voice coming from the dark corner near the wall, twice. First it says, "Come here," and then, after he pans back to confirm his girlfriend is still asleep, it says, "Love," no visible source, no one else in the room. Some believe this is a classic example of a spirit mimicking someone close to the witness, a behavior often described in accounts of attachment entities, something that calls to you using a familiar voice, something it knows you'll respond to. Others think it could be an auditory hallucination, triggered by waking suddenly in the dark. But the second whisper is harder to dismiss. It waited until he looked away,